Over the last several hundred years, rape and its meaning has changed, ranging from an act of plunder and violent seizure to now being defined as a non-consented sexual act. In the 17th century, rape could only be committed upon people in these three categories. You had to be someone else's wife, a widow, or a virgin. In even more recent decades, rape did not apply to married couples, but that has since then changed. Therefore, rape being a word with a variety of uses and meanings, I decided to ask what others thought of the word and its definition.
How do you define the word
Would you
rape?
say that there are any other terms or phrases in which the word rape
once
is
defined
used?
as to seize, take, or
Do you
carry
agree
off
with
by
how it's
force?
used
Rape,
today?
Would you say that's closer to its older historical definition? What would you suggest as an alternative then? Okay, now the main definition of rape is that it is a type of sexual assault usually involving sexual intercourse or other forms of sexual penetration perpetrated against the person without that person's consent.
My definition of rape would be sexually assaulting someone else.
Doing sexual acts without a clear and sober yes or given consent.
Rape is when a man or woman sexually assaults another person without their consent.
I define rape as any type of sexual contact without clear given consent, especially if the girl isn't sober.
Would you say that there are any other terms or phrases in which the word rape is used?
A couple ways, like in sport or something, I say, I'm gonna rape you in basketball, which means I'm gonna, do a lot better than you, I'm gonna destroy you in basketball. Or I'm gonna take a test, I say, I definitely raped that test, which means, I did really, really good in that test.
One of the most common I would say is date rape, just because that was one of the first ways that I heard it used, but I've seen a lot of posters and there's a lot of PSAs about how people jokingly say, oh, that test raped me or something like that.
My teacher's really raping me with all this homework or these tests.
Raping someone, getting raped on a test. Other than that, I can't think of any.
Do you agree with how it is used in that context?
Definitely not.
Okay.
I think it's very insensitive to people who have been victims of rape and sexual assault.
I disagree with how it's used when performing on a test because it can be offensive to some people.
I use it sometimes. It's not conventional, but I don't say I disagree with it just because if you look at the definitions, it does make sense.
Okay, and the original definition of rape is defined as to seize, take, or carry off by force. A synonym would be plunder, to rob of goods or valuables. Would you say that this older definition relates to how it's kind of used now?
But like you said before, plunder.
Yeah.
Plunders means to take all their loot and everything, basically to overcome somebody.
Yeah.
Basically today when I say I'm gonna rape you in basketball, I'm gonna overcome you in basketball. So historically and today, that term is basically the same thing. It's very simple.
Okay.
I would agree with that definition, but I would say it's been expanded upon and more exclusively used in sexual situations in the United States today.
In some sense, I feel like it's now just a word to mean that someone's getting taken advantage of, but not necessarily sexually.
When people use it talking about inanimate objects such as tests and grades and stuff, I would say so, but there are ways that it's evolved into a different definition to be used in today's life.
Based off my observations and research, I believe the word rape is commonly used to describe a defeat or loss, a strip of pride, honor, and reputation in reference to sports, competitions, academics, and other things of personal value. It is this new definition that is closely related to the original definition of rape. Whether you agree or disagree with the use of this word in this context, it certainly is a trending definition.